Okay, so what do I think of French people and living in France and their desire to meet other people? I don't think they're friendly in the sense of wanting to meet others who are from other countries. They stick to their own, and you can see on a lot of videos how people talk about it's hard to make friends with French people. Now, what I do notice is they will come up to you and pretend as if they want to be friends, find out all your business, exchange numbers with no intention. I call them the no intention people, and I don't fall for it anymore. Okay? So when I say they come up to you, an example is I was on a tram and a lady started talking to me just before I got on, who lived in the area, and she asked me my age, why I came here, for what reason, and she actually tried to pull out of me if I was with someone. Do you have any friends and family here? Which is a dangerous question. I went over that before. That's a dangerous question that you don't answer, because it's really no one's business. So, after gathering all this information, she wanted to exchange numbers. And I call her Ludacris because part of her name is in Ludacris. I call her Ludacris to this day because it was ludicrous to actually ask all these private questions of someone you don't know on the street. And this happens a lot, which is terrible. To me, it's rude, extremely rude. You even see that when you're taking classes where the instructor will ask you questions about your day. Now, that's not a problem, but they want specific details. And I can understand trying to get someone, that's French classes too, people. When you're taking French classes, I can understand asking superficial questions, but they get into really wanting to know your personal business. I have no intention of knowing you, have no intention of being around you, because they stick to their own. And it's almost better, I think, because you come from different cultures and different backgrounds. Now, what I do find is that meeting people who have traveled is a lot better. Or I should say people who are more worldly, traveled the world, seen a lot. Or those from different countries, like Germany. Very easy to make friends with Germans. Other people, Norwegians, Swedish, people from Switzerland, much easier. I never thought that the French would have a mindset like the Portuguese. And it's almost like that, where they stick to their own. But if you interact with them, that's probably not a good thing, because they have a different lifestyle. And me being African American, they don't expect me to have literally anything. I'm not supposed to have nice clothes, a car. The expectation is not there if you're a person of color. So I would never really want to fully interact, because it would just create a lot of animosity of their expectations. And people say, who cares about their expectations? Well, what's the sense in making friends and they feel like, how do you have this? Why do you have that? You shouldn't have this. So I've never really worried about it. Whereas other people come here and they're having a hard time making friends, or they meet some people and they're from another country. Now, that's the easiest. Not meeting people from France is the easiest way to make friends. So, to continue my story, it's not an issue with me about making friends. Well, anywhere. My life is so busy, too busy, way too busy with starting up startups and doing things. It's way too busy. But I can understand why people who are younger feel some type of way about not having friends or making friends. I like it. I like the fact that the French come to you, ask you 1,000 questions with no intention, want your phone number. I love it because instantly you know where they're coming from. You know that this is bull crap and you need to keep it moving. So the ones who don't ask all those questions, the ones who are legitimately want to get to know you, those are the ones I'm interested in. So it's so easy here because you know who to stay away from. And people, because it's Europe, just like in Portugal, when they get to know your business, they will tell the whole town or your entire neighborhood. So you have to be careful with that. And that's the usual in Europe. They still have that village mentality. I call them town criers because that's what they are. I call them real town criers. They just like, hear ye, hear ye. So-and-so is 60 years old. So-and-so is 50 years old. So-and-so is 40. She lives at so-and-so. She's from, they literally stand on a pedestal and they're telling your business. So it's the new version of Google. It is the new version of Google. You know, they just go straight to the source and air it all over town. It's quite interesting. Then you have the 20-year-olds, which is funny. The 20-year-olds, they are Googling. So they come up to you and their whole thing is education. And I think my perspective is different because I am African American. And they want to know what background you have, your credentials. And then they get kind of funky acting. It's really funny. Well, no, I shouldn't say that. They get more comparison. I call it the I gots. And I used to see this in the States too. People Google you and then they come back and it's like, I got this, I got that. So it's always something that you have that they have or something better. And they do that a lot. The 20-year-olds do that a lot here. So they're Googling, running back, and the same thing in the U.S. So that's my take on the French people and living here and getting to know them. No, it's just like Portugal to me. Portugal, the background and the culture, our culture is so different. Now, what's so funny is that the Germans seem so similar to Americans. But then I found out that in Germany, their first language they have to learn is English. And then they have a choice between French or Spanish or both. So that's really interesting. Their culture seems so close to our culture, which I think is really interesting that their culture is similar to ours. Really interesting because I get along really well with the Germans. They're really they're boisterous, outgoing, a little bit sometimes too boisterous. And Swedish, people from Sweden, I have had great experiences with them. So just a different vibe. But I'm noticing that when you get these small villages and people who are not well traveled, and you come over and you've been traveling and you're black. Now, if you're white, it's a different story. It's kind of like, okay, I expect her to do that. But it's not expected when you are a person of color. It's expected that you haven't done anything, you don't have any money, the expectation is totally different. Totally different. Now, it could be a total difference if you're in a big city. If you're in a big city like Paris, you may not get this kind of vibe. And that's another thing, folks. When you come to Europe, there are not that many big cities. Most of them are small villages. They say towns, cities. Well, Paris is a city, but when they say city, it could be something like 300,000 people. That's not a big city, it's a city. And you still get this mentality in these places. But I'm noticing when you get to the huge cities with millions of people, they're coming and going, just like you see in New York, just like you see in Paris, maybe also in Madrid, maybe also in Barcelona. But anything outside of that, you're going to get the town crier mentality, or the people who are just nosy, super nosy. It's bordering on rude. Okay? So people, I have to say this to the young people who come over here and they're like, it's hard to make friends. That's just them. That's how it is. They're clannish, very clannish. They stick to their own. And then sometimes you can meet some people. I've met people who are French, but they're well traveled. They've been all over the world. They've seen everything. Most of the people I know have been all over the world, and they're so open, and they talk about their experiences versus an interrogation, because the French tend to interrogate you. If I'm walking on the street in a neighborhood that's nice, people will stop and say, "Hi, how are you? How are you doing?" This is another thing with the racist stuff. It's not racist, but it is, because someone not of color would not be stopped and questioned. And it's not questioning that's negative, it's questioning that's intrusive. So are you here long? And it seems friendly, but what it really is behind it is, what are you doing in this neighborhood? Who are you? Why are you here? Blah, 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 blah. And it's not nasty, it's nice. But I understand it because I'm from the U.S. And when you've lived in the U.S., you understand it very well. So, yeah, this is everywhere you go, there's some drama somewhere. But despite all, it's just how people are. It's just how people are in the world in different places. So young people, stay strong. Meet those people who have traveled like you have traveled. Meet those people who have more experiences. Meet those people who enjoy going out and doing things, and it'll be okay.